Well, hi, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Wanted to come to you today with a very, very long overdue mail haul. My good friend up in Minnesota, Todd, from Todd's Bursting Bookcase. If you follow his channel at all, you would know that he has been cleaning out his book collection. And by the way, if you do not follow his channel, you are just totally missing out. You need to go check out his channel. Todd is a awesome booktuber who has a massive book collection. Maybe not quite as massive anymore because he's been unloading and unhauling books left and right to try to whittle things down so that he could start buying again and start, building his collection again. But one of the things that he's been trying to do is, he takes his books and he donates them. I know he's donated them around to the, I've seen videos where he takes them to the buy one, get one, or not buy one, get one, excuse me, take one, leave one, little libraries. He's added books into those. He's taken them to bookstores and donated them. He's taken them to the Goodwill. He has boxed them up and mailed them off to different people. And guess what? I am one of those recipients. And he mailed me, and this has been about a month ago, a little over a month ago. I was in Colorado on vacation when these arrived in the mail, and this was a very, very nice present for me when I got home. He sent me 2 whole boxes of books, quite a few books, and I believe all of these, if I remember right, maybe all but one, were on World War II in one way or another. And so what I am going to do to keep from having one big, long, massive video, I am going to break this into 4 different installments, and I hope you enjoy. I know I did when I got to digging in. This is some pretty awesome stuff. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and look at some of these books that I got in the mail from Todd. Again, go check out his channel. You'll find that it's, go back in the history of his videos. It'll be worth it. He's a great booktuber. So the first book in this stack is A Trial of Generals, Hama, Yamashita, and MacArthur. And this is by Lawrence Taylor, not the football player. And this is from Icarus Press, South Bend, Indiana, and it is a 1981 book. And this one sounds really interesting to me because I just got done reading William Manchester's biography on Douglas MacArthur, and it's a big old thick monster. It took me forever to get through it, but I finally got through it, and it was really good. And this would go hand in hand. And this is a slim little volume. It's only 184 pages, and that is including like the index and everything at the end. So let me read this front cover to you. It says, when the American forces on Bataan surrendered to the Japanese early in 1942, both sides were astonished to discover that the Japanese under General Masaharu Hama had defeated an army more than twice its size. For the Japanese, the 100,000 soldiers and civilians coming out of the jungles of the Philippines Bataan Peninsula presented a horrendous logistical problem. How to get them safely into POW camps. The result was the infamous Bataan Death March, during which 7,000 American soldiers succumbed to heat, disease, exhaustion, or the brutalities of their captors. During the Death March, General Hama was busy trying to capture the remaining American soldiers, first under General Douglas A. MacArthur, and later, after MacArthur's departure for Australia, under Jonathan Wainwright. From their entrenched positions on the island of Corregidor in Manila Bay, Hama was to remain unaware of the atrocities being perpetrated by his troops until the end of the war. And by the end of 1944, the war was going badly for the Japanese. Tojo had already been removed in July of that year, and MacArthur was mustering an overwhelming force to retake the Philippines. Japanese General Tomoyuki Yamashita, the hero of Japan's Malayan campaign, which resulted in the surrender of a much superior British contingent, in Singapore to a small Japanese force, was hurriedly recalled from an insignificant post assigned him by the jealous Tojo to shore up the weakened and frail defense of the islands. Yamashita's orders called for the pulling back into the Philippine jungles, abandoning Manila as hopeless to sustain under the American onslaught. But sailors under the command of Admiral Iwabuchi, sorry if I'm butchering that, apparently with Iwabuchi's blessing and directly in the face of Yamashita's direct orders, did not leave Manila. Instead, they fortified themselves with alcohol and, counting themselves as dead already, went on a rampage against Manila and its inhabitants, raping, burning, torturing, murdering. Yamashita, virtually isolated in the jungle, waited until the war's end to surrender. It was then that he heard about the incredible acts of sailors nominally under his command. With the Allied victory came eventually the Nuremberg and Tokyo war crimes tribunals. Both were models of due process, with internationally recognized jurists deliberating for years about the charges and countercharges involved. But long before this, the two Japanese generals who were tried in the Philippines by a military commission under General MacArthur, they were found guilty, appealed that decision and lost, and were executed. A trial of generals is the first full treatment of these trials, which were travesties of American judicial conduct. It tells the story not only of the background, charges, trials, and executions, it also tells the human story of three generals caught in a desperate bind involving the highest calling of the military profession: duty, honor, and country. And what I found interesting when I was reading the other one by William Manchester was that these guys got executed, but MacArthur made sure that all the other top generals did not, and the emperor did not. And that really solidified MacArthur's reputation with the Japanese people by, honoring, still giving honor despite, all of the atrocities that were done. And a lot of people didn't really like that. They thought that those Japanese leaders should have paid for, everything that happened during the war. Instead, it's only these two. So anyway, I think that's going to be really interesting. Should be a fairly quick read since it's pretty short. The next book in the stack here from Todd is The Holy Reich, Nazi Conceptions of Christianity, 1919 to 1945 by Richard Steigman Gall. And this would be pretty interesting. It is a, 2000 this book was printed in 2004 by Cambridge University Press, and I don't think I really need to read anything on it because that's really self-explanatory. The Nazi conceptions of Christianity from 1919 to 1945, that kind of tells it all. So that'll be pretty interesting to see how they felt about the religious side of things. Next book in the stack is The Dauntless Dive Bomber of World War II by Barrett Tillman. Kind of a neat cover. It's kind of a wraparound cover. You can see the plane all the way through, or all the way around, I mean. And this is a 1976 book from the United States Naval Institute out of Annapolis. And really cool end pages. Check that out. Map of the, the Pacific. Map of the Pacific. I think that's pretty neat. Backside is map of the Atlantic and Europe. So you got both fronts here. And this says, the Douglas Aircraft Plant received an order for 144 SBD dive bombers in April of 1939. As was the custom with Douglas products, an alliterative name was chosen for the SBD. The Armor's B-23 bomber was to become known as the Dragon, and the TBD torpedo plane became the Devastator. and so it was for the SBD, which later became popularly known as the Douglas Dauntless. Seldom has any airplane better been named. So the whole thing is about this aircraft. I'm not going to read the whole jacket. It's kind of long, but it's basically all about that one particular airplane. So that'll be good, because I honestly don't know a ton about the stuff in the Air Force. Next book on the stack is The Fall of Japan, A Chronicle of the End of an Empire by William Craig. Pretty neat cover, I think. You got the rising sun in the background there, and the emperor on the front. And this is a Galahad Books out of New York, and it's 1967. This one is, let's see, this is the gripping story of the tumultuous events in the final weeks of World War II in the Pacific, when Japan had to choose between surrender and total annihilation. Based on William Craig's interviews with hundreds of the war's survivors, both American and Japanese, and previously undisclosed official documents, memoirs, diaries, and letters, The Fall of Japan details the end of an empire and takes readers into the hearts and minds of the men it portrays. Meet key figures such as Admiral Takajiro Onoshi, zealous, headstrong commander, worshipped by his junior officers, who was one of the architects of the attack on Pearl Harbor. Under his command, the Special Attack Forces, the Kamikaze, would proudly fly suicide missions against the American fleet. Here are intimate portrayals of the very mortal Hirohito, the aged and faltering Premier's Suzuki, General Jonathan Wainwright, burdened by an enormous personal guilt, Major Charles Sweeney, the pilot of the plane whose mission was to destroy Nagasaki, and many others. Here also is the full story of the second and more powerful nuclear bomb used by the Americans, Fat Man, which was dropped over Nagasaki at the climax of a nearly failed mission full of tension and misgivings. It was the horrifying devastation of Nagasaki that accelerated the Japanese cabinet's decision to surrender. William Craig recreates the bitter controversy that forced the emperor himself to voice his opposition to the die-hard generals who wanted to continue the war. In response, a group of young Japanese officers made a violent attempt to stop the emperor's announcement of surrender by mounting a coup against the government. The Fall of Japan also details the amazing and dangerous mission launched after the surrender. OSS men parachuting into occupied China to rescue Allied prisoners from possible murder. Fully illustrated with maps and 55 compelling black and white photographs, this book is a masterful reconstruction of the people and the events that contributed to Japan's military downfall. The result is an authoritative account that brings a deeper understanding of the human, military, and political complexities of war. So that'll be really good. Again, this will go well with that book that I just read on Douglas MacArthur by William Manchester. This is what I've been reading forever in that book. So this will be another look at that. The next book is another book by, different guy. This is The First Heroes, The Extraordinary Story of the Doolittle Raid, America's First World War II Victory. And this is by Craig Nelson. Really cool cover on that one as well. Another wraparound there. And this is, let's see, from Viking. And it is 2002. And I'm not going to read the cover to you. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, the Doolittle Raid. And so it's going to be the story of that. But I really love that cover. That is a cool cover. Next book in this stack is the only one of all of the books in these two big old boxes that got sent to me. This is the only book I already had. But I'm not going to complain because I know somebody at school who would love to have a copy of this. And it is Band of Brothers. This is E Company, 506th Regiment, 101st Airborne, from Normandy to Hitler's Eagle's Nest. And I have read this before. I loved it. I love the series. The mini-series Band of Brothers, really, really good. The other mini-series called The Pacific was really, really good. So pretty stoked about this and getting to read. You know, I might pick it up and read it again, but I'm going to be able to share this with a colleague at school, and I think he will like that. And it's all about the 101st Airborne and their trip across Europe. The next book in the stack is Hitler's Religion, The Twisted Beliefs That Drove the Third Reich by Richard Weikart. That cover's kind of eerie. Kind of gives you the heebie-jeebies. This is, let's see, from Regnery History, and it is a 2016 book published out of New York. I'll read the cover of this one. Let you stare at the freak himself, Hitler. For a man whom history can never forget, Adolf Hitler remains a persistent mystery on one front, his religious faith. Atheists tend to insist Hitler was a devout Christian. Christians counter that he was an atheist. And still others suggest that he was a practicing member of the occult. None of these theories is true, says historian Richard Weikart. Delving more deeply into the question of Hitler's religious faith than any researcher to date, Weikart reveals the startling and fascinating truth about the most hated man of the 20th century. Adolf Hitler was a pantheist who believed nature was the only true God. In Hitler's Religion, Weikart explains how the laws of nature became Hitler's only moral guide, and why Hitler claimed, even believed, he was serving God by annihilating supposedly inferior human beings and promoting the welfare and reproduction of the allegedly superior Aryan race. Like the racist forms of Darwinism prevalent at the time, Hitler's twisted religion was a direct attack on the Judeo-Christian ethics on which Western civilization is built. So that'll be a very interesting read, I think, especially with a cover like that. Give me just a second. The TV came back on. I had it paused, and the football game's playing. I don't want that in the background. Give me just a second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. 2 books left here in this first stack. This is The Death of Democracy, Hitler's Rise to Power and the Downfall of the Weimar Republic by Benjamin Carter Het. Another really cool cover. I like that font. I think that is a really cool font. My wife and daughter like to make fun of me because I like certain fonts. That's okay. I think any book lover eventually finds their favorite fonts. This is a 2018 book from Henry Holt and Company out of New York. And this one says, why did democracy fall apart so quickly and completely in Germany in the 1930s? How did a democratic government allow Adolf Hitler to seize power? In The Death of Democracy, Benjamin Carter Het answers these questions, and the story he tells has disturbing resonances for our own time. To say that Hitler was elected is too simple. He would never have come to power if Germany's leading politicians had not responded to a spat of populist insurgencies by trying to co-opt him, a strategy that backed them in a corner from which the only way out was to bring the Nazis in. Het lays bare the misguided confidence of conservative politicians who believed that Hitler and his followers would willingly support them, not recognizing that their efforts to use the Nazis actually played into Hitler's hands. They had willingly given him the tools to turn Germany into a vicious dictatorship. Benjamin Carter Het is a leading scholar of 20th century Germany and a gifted storyteller whose portraits of these feckless politicians show how fragile democracy can be when those in power do not respect it. He offers a powerful lesson for today when democracy once again finds itself embattled and the siren song of strongmen sounds even louder. So that sounds like that'll be a good one. There's a Good picture of your author there. So look forward to that one. All right, and the last one in the stack, and I was real excited when I saw this because I remember seeing this at like Sam's Club or Walmart, and I thought, man, I'd like to read that, and so it was nice to see this in the box. This is by Alex Kershaw. It's The First Wave, the D-Day Warriors who led the way to victory in World War II. Another awesome, awesome cover. And this is I know it's a newer book. I can't remember exactly the year. 2019 is the year, and it's from Caliber Books. So I really look forward to this one. It's going to be a good one. It's got lots of great black and white photos in it. Of course, all of the people from the story. Let's see, there's a famous picture of Ike talking to the men before they took off across the English Channel. What's that one? Is that on Utah Beach down here? So all kinds. That's another famous shot right there. Everybody recognizes that one. But anyway, a lot of good pictures in here. Great story to tell. I think I have a lot of respect for these guys that, you know, when the door opened, they went into the water and came up on the beaches because, you know, a lot of those guys died before they even got to the water. The machine guns that were placed up on the top of the hill by the Germans, they were pretty deadly. And so, yeah. Anyway, so that's the first stack of books in the 2 boxes that Todd sent me. Again, I highly encourage everyone to go to Todd's channel, Todd's Bursting Bookcase, and go subscribe to him. He is a great, great booktuber, just a good all-around guy. I thoroughly enjoy his channel. Thank you, Todd, for these books. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. It was a really nice gift coming back from Colorado this month and a half ago when you'd sent them. That was a really nice gift to find. So anyway, thank you, BookTube, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you watch the next 3 of them. So until next time, happy reading.